feed these Linux Mint fans. Here we go again. Hello viewers. Mornings. Another beautiful day. Yep. Hope your five senses work. Health and strength is good or excellent. What? Alright. Here's the news on Linux Mint 22. Linux Mint 22 officially released. This is what's new. And we're going Linux Mint 22 Wilma has been officially released and made available to download. It says this major update is built on Ubuntu 24.04 LTS. LTS meaning long-term service. It says, and see Linux Mint 22 inherit big updates to underlying package, libraries, tooling, and core technology stacks. There's also a new Linux kernel and a fresh set of graphics drivers. Linux Mint 22 ships with a new version of Cinnamon Desktop. Then in parentheses it says featuring new options. Close parentheses says a suite of new and improved apps. And then then in parentheses again it says plus a few downgrades and removal. Close parentheses. It says and make some notable security changes. Then in parentheses again, like no more guest logins by default. Close parentheses. Then it says in this post I'll give you an overview of what's new in Linux Mint 22, where to download it, recap the system requirement, and touch on where you can upgrade. Let's dive in. Then it says Linux Mint 22 what's new. It says Linux Mint 22 is built on top of Ubuntu 24.04 LTS long-term service, the latest long-term support release of Ubuntu. Naturally, this brings access to newer versions of apps, tools, and package than available in Linux Mint 22 series. Based on a Ubuntu 22.04 LTS, work on the next major version, Linux Mint 23, won't start until 2026. And then it says, based on being an LTS release, Linux Mint 22 will receive security updates for the next 5 years, allowing user to use it until 2029 without the need of any major upgrades. Then it says, kernel-wise, Linux Mint 22 is powered by the Linux 6.8 kernel, and in a notable break with past tradition, the distro plans to release new kernel updates every 6 months through Ubuntu Hardware Enablement HWE stack. Then it says on the audio front, Linux Mint 22 uses Pipewire as the default sound server. Pipewire delivers lower latency, improved performance, and better capabilities with a wider range of Bluetooth devices, apps, and online service than Pulse Audio, which it replaces. Then it says any unused language packs other than English and the language you select during installation are removed after installation. This change reduces the disk space a new Linux Mint 22 installation requires, which is a nice low-level improvement. Then it says other changes in Linux Mint 22 include guest sessions are disabled by default, translation optimized to take up less disk space, new desktop background, Linux Mint themes updates to support GTK4, all apps using libsoup2 migrates to libsoup3, better HIDPI support in Plymouth and login screens, shutdown timeout reduced to 10 seconds. Then it says here, and as you expect, there are a lot of bug fixes, performance buff, and translation tweaks bundled up in this update. While invisible and hard to screenshot, those are welcome. Then it says, but we're not done yet. There's plenty more. Then it says, what's new in Cinnamon 6.2? Then it says the Cinnamon 6.2 desktop is at the heart of Linux Mint. While it offers no showy new features, there are a lot of smaller quality improvement baked baked in to help enhance its usability and make it easier and more fun to use. Then it says you can now organize a Nemo Action file manager script using a new dedicated tool. The new Nemo Action layout editor supports ordering / sorting, divider, grouping action into submenus, editing their text labels, and changing the icon shown for an action. The corner bar applet far right of the bottom panel now lets you choose which action is triggered when holding the shift key, clicking on the button show desktop, show desklet, show the workspace switcher, or show the window picker. And it says here, keep with clicks. It's not possible to remove a workspace from the workspace switcher expo. Just middle click on the virtual desktop you wish to remove, and voila, it's gone. Then it says there are other changes in Cinnamon 6.2.2, including corner bar applet now offers configurable. Mint menu now has a science category. Then it says user applet has an option to show user profile pics on panel. Power applet more precise at reporting battery state. Startup application now shows search bar when adding entries. Screen lock delay now offers 5 seconds and 10 seconds option. And it says here Cinnamon Spice add-ons now support configurable key binding. Keyboard shortcut panel gains a search feature. Active VPN, that's VPN meaning virtual private network. Connection denotes by padlock on network icon. OSK picks up a toggle to disable the OSK. It says Cinnamon 6.2 offers a slew of bug fixes too. Among them, a fix to ensure window order in Windows list applet doesn't get randomized when disconnecting and reconnecting the monitor, and supporting the clutter poll kit agent when running Cinnamon on Wayland. Finally, read over the official release notes for a list of known issues with these release and some suggestions and workaround or alternative. Another subtopic: app updates, downgrades, and removals. Says here Linux Mint Software Manager app package name Mint install makes it easy to search, browse, and install Flatpak apps on FlatHub. However, Linux Mint devs have made a big change to which software on FlatHub you can access. In Linux Mint 22, the software manager hides unverified FlatHub listing by default, even if you explicitly search for following a link to something. And then it says you can choose to see and install unverified Flatpak apps using the newly toggled added to, then in parentheses it says newly expanded software manager setting panel. Mint caution against this. Warning, text informs you of the potential security risk from opting in. It says after opting in to see/install unverified Flatpak apps in software manager, they will always appear at the bottom of search results. Listing page highlights the unverified status in red, and no star ratings or comments are shown for these apps. It says elsewhere, Linux Mint now maintain its own deb package of Thunderbird email client. This is because upstream Ubuntu switched to a Thunderbird snap and made the Thunderbird deb in its repos a transition package that parentheses, close parentheses, install the snap. 2 new apps make their debut in Linux Mint 22. And then it says the first is a new X-app named Genome Online Account, GTK. This wrapped the latest GOA functionality from Genome 46 in a vanilla GTK4 user interface that fits in with the rest of the Cinnamon desktop. And it says the second is a new pre-installed web app for Elements. a cloud-based client for Matrix chat platform, and hard code to load the official Linux Mint Matrix channel on launch. This app replaced XChat, as HEXCHAT, and then it says in parentheses IRC client, now removed, close parentheses, to provide real-time support. On the subject of web apps, Mint pre-installed web app manager utility, and then it says in parentheses, which lets you create single site instance in Firefox for any website, close parentheses, improves the form and function of web apps by hiding the browser toolbar by default. Then it says here, the result is much cleaner, streamlined aesthetics. The navigation bar can be force enabled. Then in parentheses it says, slide the toggle when creating a web app. And it says here, in an unexpected move, Linux Mint 22 downgrades some of its pre-installed apps to older versions. Not something most of us would expect when installing a newer version of a Linux distribution. Why has this happened? Many of the latest versions of these apps adopt GTK/Liba, a WADA for their user interface, which Linux Mint dislikes, feeling it impacts the look, feels, and integration of apps with the rest of the non-GNOME desktop like Cinnamon. They stand out like a sore thumb, basically. Says, as a result, many apps have been downgraded to older GTK3 builds. Then it shows a picture. It says here, apps downgraded to older version than the ones present in the Ubuntu 24.4 repos includes Celluloid, Genome Calculator, Simple Scan, Disk Usage Analyzer, System Monitor, Genome Calendar, and Archive Extraction/Compression Tool File Roller. Then it says Mozilla accent its location service means the Redshift blue light filler tool now requires you to enter manual location info to work on an auto schedule. Feeling this is a poor user experience, Redshift was removed from the default app set. In parentheses it says, but remains available to install from the repos. Apart from the above, here are the other changes to default apps in Linux Mint 22. Then it says Warpinator adds a restart item to its menus. Nemo has a JXL thumbnailer. Pix now supports opening of JXL image. Sticky Notes lets you choose the default screen position. Timeshift asks for confirmation when deleting backups. Xed, that's XED, text editor, gains a keyboard shortcut to toggle the mini map. Then it says apps not listed have received minor updates, largely made up of a few bug fixes, tooling changes, and translation. If there's something major I've missed, let me know in the comments. Then another subtopic. Linux Mint 22 is a solid release. And all this release feels a solid one. It brings a welcome slate update, refinement, and improvement with it, all built on the solid foundation of Ubuntu 24.4 LTS, with thoughtful touches to the Cinnamon desktop, a shift to Pipewire for better audio performance, some handy new apps, and the migration to a new Linux kernel cadence. Linux Mint 22 offers a user-friendly, reliable, and assured desktop experience. It says longtime Mint users will be thrilled with this update, and it may sway those looking for a new Linux distribution to try. Some distros are all about cutting-edge trends, constant evolution, etc. Mint is a clamor choice, reliable, predictable, and OS you can just get on and use. And then it says here, subtopic, download Linux Mint 22. You can download Linux Mint from the Linux Mint website. This offers a direct download as well as an official torrent. The Linux Mint 22 ISO clock in at just under 2.9 gigabyte which is nearly half the size of Ubuntu 24.4 LTS, 5.7 gigabytes. Make sure you have got enough disk space and bandwidth to download it, and a USB stick or memory card big enough to flash it too. Then it says, system requirements for this version are the same as the last. Your computer need to have a 64-bit processor, dual core or better, at least 2 gigs of RAM, and a minimum of 15 gigs free space. Meet those low requirement and you're good to go. But you know 2 gigs of RAM is a joke in today's time. Come on now. Anyway, it says here a comprehensive installation guide on Linux Mint Docs site walks though installing Linux Mint should you need the assistance. And then it says to upgrade to Linux Mint 22 from 21.3, you should wait until Linux Mint say it's okay to do so. As of writing, they haven't. Once the upgrade channel is officially open, then in parentheses, though in reality this works a few days before too, run sudo apt install mint upgrade from the command line, then mint upgrade check to see if the update is available. Once it follows the steps shown on the screen to complete the upgrade, but do make backups of important files, settings, and configuration before you proceed. And that is that. So yeah, Linux Mint 22 is here. And then it says I got 15 comments. Yeah, and then people are signing off in the comment section. One person here says I sometimes hear people say that Mint is a good choice if you have an old PC as a drop-in replacement for Windows XP. For example, I actually tried this on an old Acer laptop, but Mint was a massive resource hog. Windows XP actually runs great on older hardware. It says, and someone says for older hardware, you can use XFCE edition instead of Cinnamon. For older hardware, 2000 to 2009, MX Linux XFCE. Very old hardware, 90s, puppy Linux. Anyway, then he says try Lubuntu for older PCs. And then another comment here says, that's not really a surprise. I bet Ubuntu 8.4 would run great on that laptop too. What are the laptop specs? Smiley face. And then Carl said this, I read this sentence several times and still can't understand what you were trying to say. You can choose to see and install unverified Flatpak apps using the Google added to the newly expanded software manager setting panel. Then Joe says this, toggle typo got autocorrect to Google, likely fixed now. And who is this? Then Gen X said this, it's the summer heat going through the keyboard XD. Joe said this, that would be a valid excuse, but I live in the UK, so there is no heat in the summer. Then SN said this, I do use Mint as my main system, but I always keep it as a backup when I upgrade to the first point release of Ubuntu 24.4 next month. I will install this new version of Mint as well on a separate partition as a backup system. MJ said this too, I use and like Linux Mint back in the day. Newer kernels via HWE and Wayland support could make it relevant again. My understanding is the Cosmic DE coming to Pop OS can theme GTK apps. Why can't Linux Mint do that instead of reverting apps in their repos? And then William said this, the betas I tested were using newer kernels, which is good, but yeah, that GTK theming issue remains, although it's resolvable. It's just one of the many reasons while I'll never use Mint as my daily. The aesthetics of the distribution is not appealing to me. However, for most people new to Linux, They don't even think about these things, and it is still a great distribution for what it offers to those who are not bothered by its visuals, or maybe they like to, or maybe they like or prefer LM user user interface. And got 3 more comments here. Then he said, Joe said this, yeah, Windows switcher are especially fond of Mint, and Windows users will be more than accustomed to a mishmash of app styles, icons, sets, widgets, user interface paradigm, a few errant GTK sheets, and a some app using traditional titles. Bars won't stick out to them. Then who's this? Conua said this. Does anyone know why they changed the touchpad driver? I have had many problems with my laptop touch bar during the time, both on Ubuntu and Fedora. I tried and wanted to know if it is something specific to Ubuntu, but it is not. On my XPS laptop, many times only the top part of the touchpad works on the first touch. I have had a feeling it is related to palm rejection. Then Joe said this, just had a rummage on their GitHub, and it seems that this is not a new change, despite its being listed in the release note for 22, which is why I mentioned it in my general bullet point. I have removed that now since Diggin reveals libinput support was added in 17X series, made default in 20X series. As for why they made it default in 20X, I can't find any rationale on their blog, forum, or GitHub. And then last comment, I love Ubuntu too much to ever use anything else as my daily driver, but I respect the fact that there are probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people throughout the world whose introduction to Linux after leaving Windows is through Ubuntu by using Mint. I cannot wait to test this out. Alright, that's that. So anyway, Linux Mint is here. Linux Mint 2022, what is it? 22 is here. So for you Linux Mint users, so have fun, indulge yourself, have a blast with it. Of course, send your feedback to the developers if you have a problem. If you already have Ubuntu, if you can get you a separate PC, then install Linux Mint there, and then that way you can have both Ubuntu and Linux Mint, and you can use both of them. See what you think, And of course, there's XFCE for older machines. So there's always that option. So yeah. And of course, there's other Linux distros that you can try, but this one brings in some new features and should be useful out there in the world, in the Linux community, and in the tech world and gaming world. So yeah, but Linux moving right along. They got so many distros, so yeah, pick one, pick two, pick three, pick whatever. So yeah, 22 is here, along with your Ubuntu 2404. So according to this, let's see here, what do we got? What it says, what's the, no, 20, okay, so you got, let's see, 23, well, so it won't start until 2026, and then 22, you got to use it until 2029, so this 2024, so indulge yourself. Ubuntu came out this year, back in what? Ubuntu came back out back in what, April, if I'm not mistaken. So it's been like been out for like 3 months. And now Linux Mint 22. So you Ubuntu and Linux users, you got two fresh operating system to deal with. And of course there's XFCE, plus there's Debian, Fedora, whatever distro you use. So yeah, the Linux community is good, man. So they should have some fun with this. Yeah. I mean, you can use it for general purpose. You know? You can use it to whatever you plan to do in the IT world. You can use it for. You know, I mean, in the tech world, you can use it for you. So yeah, if it's just for regular use, you got all the built-in like email system, spreadsheets, all that built in. So yeah, it's good to use, man. So yeah, Linux Mint is on the move, man. New updates coming out, man. So be expecting some updates from this. You know, in the days and weeks to come. So enjoy, folks. Enjoy. Yeah. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Nice talking to you people again. Chris, still Star Wars, Star Trek thing. Port, Dark Side. Go. Peace.